As a real estate agent, you've heard that the riches are in the niches, but most agents don't know how to identify a niche, and once they do, they don't know how to break into that niche. But today, I'm going to break down the tactical roadmap of exactly how to do that. I have the pleasure of bringing on Timberly, who was previously a struggling agent who identified a niche, went all in, and now she's consistently closing million-dollar deals, even upwards of $30 million clients. And here's the craziest part. Her niche isn't even luxury. So today, Timberly's going to be revealing how she picked the niche, which niche it is, the exact content she's putting out to get all of her clients from her free social media following with a small audience that's landing these consistent million-dollar closings. And even at the end, she's going to break down her strategy of how she nurtures her audience and generates a ton of referrals from agents all over the country because they know her as the go-to agent for that specific niche. So if you're ready to take your business to radically new heights and become known as the go-to agent for any niche, this is going to be your blueprint. Now, two quick things before getting started. Number one, I will link Timberly's content below in the description and pinned comment so that you can check out and see exactly what content we're talking about. And number two, I will link her calendar below in case you would like to have a private free Zoom call with her to chat about how she can help you do the same as her. So without further ado, let's dive into all things niche related, because going forward in this disruptive era of AI, the only agents who thrive are going to be the ones who specialize, not generalize. So let's break down the roadmap of exactly how to become a dominant agent in any niche fast. All right, Timberly, so super excited to have you on here. And I think you've got a very relatable story that is going to connect with a lot of the agents that are struggling, who are trying to kind of be the jack of all trades and please everybody. But you've kind of embodied that whole quote of the riches are in the niches. So I'm excited to dive into how you've been able to capitalize and identify your niche, but also use social media in order to amplify it. So excited to maybe take a second to unpack your story. How did you get here? And then we'll start diving into some of the tactical strategies.
Yeah, for sure. Well, my story, I wish I had a better way of saying, like, I knew that I was going to be in real estate my whole life. It didn't happen that way. I started in management in the pet business, and it was just kind of something that my dad bluntly said, like, you should get into real estate. Like, he's always seen me kind of as a businesswoman. I was like, okay, whatever that means. So I went and did ACC, which is Austin Community College. And I just did a 2-year degree for real estate. So I have an associate's degree in real estate. And so then I took my test and got into it from there. And I have loved it ever since. Where I'm at now, like, I couldn't imagine being in another career. So it's been just amazing to see how that's kind of worked out for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so let's kind of go into the beginning days, because I know, obviously with you and I being partners, I see the success that you're having and you're absolutely crushing it right now. Um, but when it comes to identifying a niche, when it comes to kind of niching down, a lot of agents are fearful that that's going to alienate everybody else and they're not going to get any clients because they're speaking to one person. But you and I both know that that's not the case. So let's kind of go back to the beginning days and how did you pick a niche in the beginning? What was that? And then how has that transpired to where you're at today?
Right. Yeah. When you first get into real estate, it's like I didn't know anything, but I was with a different brokerage before EXP. So EXP is my second brokerage. The first brokerage I joined was something that was local here, like 160 agents, and it was investment based. So naturally, just kind of followed that path, learned all the things, seller financing, creative financing, like everything, and just niching into investment at that time got me a lot of recognition with other agents from different brokerages, my sphere. I was really able just to learn overall, what it meant with investing, whether they were going to be buying and holding or flipping or whatever they wanted to do. And yeah, it just got me recognition all around. I tried to do residential as well. It took off later. Like everything that I was getting at the beginning was just like investment, rentals, investment, rentals. And so it was really hard to start getting into, that higher price point just because a lot of investors are naturally trying to get in at the lowest that they can. There's, So it was really hard to kind of get into residential, and I just really felt lost. So I'm super grateful that I found EXP and the Wolfpack. And actually, John and Jordan, they were at the previous brokerage I was at, and that's where I met them. So I saw what they were doing at EXP and how they were excelling. And it inspired me. And I don't remember how long it had been, between my transition of them leaving that then I left. I want to say like almost a year. But I finally did. And again, just like over time with the niche of investing, like just a lot of recognition overall that people would call me up and be like, she's the investment girl you need to call. Or if another agent was asking another agent, who would you use for this? They're like, you need to call Timberly. So I knew that I wanted to do more residential than just investment. And I didn't know how to really get into it until I found, all the tools and training that we have to offer in the Wolfpack. And then came along Land and Ranch. And for me, I grew up on a small little farm, like 5-7 acres in Liberty Hill, Austin suburb. And I've always hunted, I grew up riding horses. I love horses. I grew up shooting all the time, hunting. So I just love the land, and I've always envisioned myself in the future. I want to have my own land. So once I started niching down into land and ranch, it's really the way that it spoke to me has been so different. And since I have niched into that, again, the amount of agents in my local area, other states, and my sphere, the amount of people that have just like shown an interest and acknowledged what I'm doing has been amazing. And it was so hard to speak to a broad audience, right? And I felt that at the beginning, because I was like, when I was with the firm that I was doing a lot of the investment based stuff with, I was trying to speak to such a broad audience that I feel like it was doing more harm than good, because you have to start somewhere. So it was like, okay, now I have investment under my belt and people still know to come to me, but now I have land and ranch. And then I have a portion of the residential side that my sphere sees me in and everything. But more so, residential alone is like Georgetown, which is where I've grown up all my life. I'm a local expert here. I'm a fourth generation Georgetownian and Texan. So it's like I can be smaller with the residential, a little bit bigger with investment, and then I can be even bigger with land and ranch. And I love it.
Yeah, that's so cool. And one of the questions that I always get from people when they're trying to identify a niche is, how do I identify it? And you kind of alluded to this, and before we get into the tactical of how you built it with social and different things like that, one of the things I just want to lean into is how to identify that niche, which is, you said it's a passion. It's something you're interested in. Like, you are naturally inclined to have experienced that life, and you're passionate about it. And oftentimes people are always trying to overcomplicate the niche. They're always trying to find what's going to be like the sexiest niche possible, that's like
Yeah.
luxury or something like that, instead of just saying like, what do I have experience with?
Mhm.
What am I passionate about? What am I interested in? And it's going to be way easier to create content and work with clients that are of that same mindset as you, that if you pick something radically outside of the realm of your experience just because others have seen massive success with it. So I think that's part one when picking a niche is really important. But you also said something important, which is how difficult it is to speak to everyone. And I say this often, which is, if you follow somebody that you really connect with on social media, you always feel like they're speaking directly to you. And if that's the case, that usually means by default, they are alienating a whole whack of people. But that's why you feel connected to them, because you're their target avatar. They're speaking directly to you. You get emotionally connected, and that's what leads to repeat and referrals. And so many people, again, are taking that broad approach, but it's impossible to please everybody. So, do you want to maybe just talk about, again, leaning into that niche and being able to identify and committing to it and saying, this is what I'm going to do?
Yeah. I think one, like just starting out, I knew that I wasn't going to be like this top tier luxury Austin agent. Like I had to really come to terms of like, or find the boundary line, I should say, of who I am and who I'm not. And like faking who I am and who I'm not. And right, like there's an extent to like starting a business, like, you got to do certain things you don't want to do, right? And this and that. But like for me to like want to be downtown Austin, number one, that's like scary for me. I'm not gonna lie, because I grew up in the suburbs. So that kind of driving down there and everything was just already overwhelming for me. Two, dressing up like a lot of the agents do there, like that's just kind of culture. And some don't, get me wrong, they're super casual, but a lot of them that I see, a lot of the women, they are super like into a lot of the big name brand stuff that I'm like, I don't really know, or I could care less. And then just like seeing like the home tours and this and that, or like their ideal clients in that space, I didn't really connect with it as much. So like that was kind of like number one. And then two is just like, again, with the broad audience, not everybody wants to work with you. Like if you're a residential agent or whatever, like there's 10 people lined up, right, that they could interview. And you're not always going to get the business because you have to relate, or, you have to relate with them, and you have to have some type of experience with that. Like there's something that has to stick out. And so you're not always going to be the piece of pie for everyone. But when you can find your niche and really stick out that way, it's still, again, they could have then three land and ranch agents that they're interviewing, but I think your odds are even better than just a wide general, audience of like 10 to 20 different agents in the same area. And that was really big for me. Just really like taking a step back and listening, like, what do I want to do? What makes me feel good? Where's my passion? And the passion that I have found and happiness that I have found, and the way that I talk about land and ranch compared to traditional real estate, people see it.
Yeah.
I post more about it. I preach more about it. When I go to festivals or anytime I'm downtown Georgetown, because I'm downtown Georgetown at least 3 times a week, just in general, naturally. And I see so many people that my parents grew up with, my grandparents, who I went to high school with, and the amount of people that have came to me that I haven't seen in years, or they contact me through social media, like my post or whatever, they tell me they see me. They're like, I see you all over social media. I see you doing a lot of land and ranch now. Or like literally last night, I was at trivia night at Mesquite Creek down in Georgetown. And one of the friends I went with, she invited another friend, and she was like, I told her to follow you because you give such good advice and tips on your social media. And that person then had said, yeah, I follow you. And I'm going to be wanting to buy a house in a few years. Right? Like, again, I'm still trying to niche into farm and ranch. I'm still doing residential, but just in general, the amount of like posting and passion that I put into it, like people are seeing, and the recognition is there.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been
100%. And like, that's what I think people fail to realize about the importance of a personal brand is you get more leads, you get cheaper leads. People are less price resistant, meaning you can usually command a higher commission when if you're looking to sell a ranch and you're deciding between an expert in that field that you have full utmost confidence knows that type of property inside and out and can also be in the ecosystem or community with buyers who are interested in that versus the average agent that's not going to know that through a hole in the wall. They might work hard, but they don't get it. Like you'll be able to justify more commission. They decide to move faster because, like you said, they don't interview 10 agents. They might interview 2 or you, and that's it. And then you historically get more repeat, more referral clients because they feel connected with you and you are the woman for that niche. And so it's way easier to explain to a friend, like you just said, why they should follow you, why they should work with you, compared to the average agent. So let's start diving into how you kind of got started in that, because I feel like that's one of the biggest fears. And I hear this all the time from people saying, okay, I've made the decision, land and ranch, whatever my niche is, I'm going to go all in. But then they start saying like, what type of content do I put out? How do I get out there? How do I build my brand? How do I tap in to that new niche? They have no idea where to start. So it's kind of an interesting story because you transitioned from one niche to a different one. And I've had experience with that as well. So what was that like when you said, okay, I'm going to commit to this? Like, what are the first steps you started doing in order to get your name out there in that niche?
Yeah, well, I think it kind of initially it started more with the investment. So I have someone in the area who they've done like 4 transactions with me now, and they're sending me to their family. Anyways, it was something for their business. Like they needed at least 20 acres to do what they needed to do with this type of land. So it was like, okay, investment, like there were certain numbers I had to keep in mind, and all these other things. But then it was like, like, okay, land. And then I was helping just people in the area and friends and sphere buy lots to build their house on. And then it was like, okay, instead of 1 acre, it's now like 3 and 5 acres. And then it was, okay, my friend bought her primary home on a few acres and it allowed horses. And it started just kind of going from there. And then it was like, huh. Like I think I came home to my husband one day actually, and I was like, I think I want to do land and ranch. And he was like, okay. And he's like, well, you didn't grow up on a cattle ranch. My husband did. I didn't. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, there's so much other things. Like I don't have to be a cattle rancher to know how to sell. There's so many different things that land and ranch can fall under. And he's like, okay. So I just that's what I kind of told myself. And then not shortly after, I listed my grandpa's land, 36 acres. He had passed away. So I actually listed it before he passed away. He passed away, ownership change and everything with my uncle and my mom. I listed that. And I was like, okay, this now has crops on it. It's growing corn and hay, and you can have farm animals out here. And I dove hunted out there, deer hunted, hog hunted, rode 4-wheelers around there. And it was just all kind of making sense. And again, coming back to that passion, something that I really cared for and I didn't really realize that I needed. And then it was like, how do I get into this? And then kind of around the same time, to be honest, that we listed Land and Ranch at EXP was when heck yeah, it was just everything was kind of coming together. And I joined Land and Ranch, and I don't regret it ever since. So I think the timing kind of fits up more than everyone else, right? We had this division that launched, and I was kind of getting into it then, but now ever since, it's been something that has been full force.
I love that. And yeah, it's coming from that, we'll get into the content side of things, but you said something earlier that will tie into that, which is it's so difficult to stay consistent and put out good content when you're trying to talk about something you don't actually even care about. And I see that all the time as people, again, choose the wrong niche or they have no idea what they want to talk about. And of course, content's going to be difficult, overwhelming, stressful, inconsistent if you dread doing it every single time, right? Like for me, there's a reason why on my channel, I never talk about cold calling because I hate it. I did it, but I don't have extensive experience with it. So if I was to do a video about the perfect script and things like that and role playing, it would be, I would dread it. It would be overwhelming. It wouldn't come across as authentic. Whereas if I talk about social media or YouTube, it's very genuine and I love it. I get excited about it. And you can feel that through somebody's content. So let's talk about that in terms of, you know, you're obviously doing well with social media and being able to build that presence. So I'd love to maybe talk about what platforms you're seeing results on and
Yeah.
what type of content you're posting so that people can have idea of how do I tie content in with the niche and amplifying that message.
Yeah. For me, Instagram and Facebook work really well. Again, just because I have been in the area for a long time, I have people who I have been friends with on Facebook since I was 12. So I have a really wide audience. And so those platforms work really well with me just for connections. And then again, consistency. A lot of things that I post to my Instagram go to my Facebook. Some things are kind of different. But when I'm posting, I mean, I'm always consistent. My story is never empty. Like I am posting 5, 7 times a day, at least on my story, if not more. And it's constant. Like before, it was always investment stuff. And now it's land and ranch. And I share, my wins and I share what I'm doing in my personal life. And then I'm sharing, okay, this listing's coming live. It's 146 acres. It has electricity. We're putting a well in. The other day, I was out at the property that I'm going to be listing next week, and they were drilling a freaking well on the property. And I'm like, I've never seen that happen, but that's cool. And the amount of interest that I got from that story, people are like, oh my gosh, that's so cool that you got to see it firsthand. And I'm like, yeah, land and ranch will surprise you. You never
Yeah.
know what's going to happen. And any niche, you never know what's going to happen in real estate because it's always changing. But anyways, just those things, people remember it because it's different. Oh, she posted that. Had I not posted that, somebody probably would not have remembered that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like going forward, they're going to be like, oh man, I remember she got to see this well being drilled. So, and then just being out at different land and ranch properties that have allowed horses or hunting or cattle ranches, like I post those things. And then now I post, steps like these are the kind of things that you need to identify before you buy some land. Here's some steps. And then, of course, always call to action of like, I'm your agent, call me if you want to go further kind of thing. But it's planting those seeds, right? So it's always tips and advice or a property that I'm kind of wanting to show off. And those things have been getting me recognized.
Yeah, 100%. And I would like to dive a little bit deeper into that because I know that, once people identify niche, they start getting in their own head and they're like, what the heck should I even talk about? Right. And so when it comes to you being consistent, number one, I think that's imperative and critical, and you've done a great job at that. Number two, the reason that I've found most people struggle with consistency, aside from having to edit and all this stuff, is like they don't know what to talk about. And so I think you've obviously got a blend of just documenting the journey, documenting the behind the scenes of the niche and sharing anything that's associated with it. When it comes to the more value driven or tactical, like industry professional type of content, how are you coming up with ideas for those videos? Are you just doing it based on your own experience and research of what you're interested in, or using AI? Like, what are you doing in order to get consistent ideas of stuff that is going to be associated with your niche?
Yeah. So, number one, I would say our Social Agent Academy. I would say that that has really helped. There's certain fundamentals that you can kind of pull and plug into whatever niche you have. And so it's like, again, coming back to like the tips or things that people are actually searching for, like go to AI and be like, what are the top 5 things in Central Texas that people are looking for when it comes to land? What things do they need to know? What are they typing in that they're like, I'm thinking about buying land and I need to know this before? Those are the things that I post.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
what things are coming to the area and they want to be near that, right?
Hmm.
Like HEB's coming in, new schools coming in, a new development in Georgetown that's kind of going to be like the Domain in Austin, essentially. That's coming. Those are the things that I post.
Yeah, I find that does really well, and it's something that is very heavily underutilized, is kind of documenting the growth of the area that you're serving, because far more people are going to immediately be interested in like a big mall or a big development or a big complex that's coming up than specifically searching for lane and ranch. And that's one of the best ways to get your name out there, is talk about something that the general public is interested in, and then
Mhm.
when they find you, they start to realize like you're a specialist in this area. So I really like that. And you also said something important, which is the call to action. And many people seem to forget that, like, if you just put out all this content, but you don't call an action for them to take to reach out to you or connect with you, um, you're going to have a hard time turning views into leads, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, with that being said, one of the things that I find people struggle with is like the content creation cycle, if you will, which is like they overcomplicate what equipment to use, then they overcomplicate the editing process, then they overcomplicate the posting process to stay consistent, and they make it this like big, overwhelming beast, and they don't block off time for it. It's not a priority. So, could you just walk us through what does that look like for you on a weekly basis, for example? Or like, what's your routine from idea to post, as you continue to be consistent?
Yeah. I would say number one, anything that I think is like a good, like if it comes to my mind when I'm like out in the field or whatever, like I make sure to write it down, like that's a good content idea. And then I try to tie it into using AI and obviously have a strategic move to it so that it plays into my social media and something of value to my sphere or whoever's watching. And I get a lot of B-roll. That's something that you'll see a lot on my Instagram. It's just a lot of B-roll, like just literally just getting out there and posting, like just getting a video and then posting something of value onto it. And then the Social Agent Academy as well. Like if I don't have something quickly right there, like that's where I'm batching my next content or getting my ideas, is our Social Agent Academy. Like, because that is a proven form of how to grow your business and stay consistent. I mean, you have to stay consistent, but it has everything for you to be consistent there. All you have to do is execute. And that's the biggest thing, is execution. Like
Mhm.
if you don't post, no one knows you're doing anything. I mean, there's been multiple realtors who have been like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong on social media, and I'm like, I don't know when I saw you post last.
Yeah.
Like that's number one. Because they asked me, they're like, "How? Why do you get all this recognition in public?" Because I talk about it. Like, how? Why do you get all this recognition from the people that see you in person? It's like because they're always seeing me, so then they're
Yeah.
able to engage. So how are they able to engage with you if all they do is just see you in person? They don't know what you're doing behind the scenes. They don't know what you're doing at work. You're not sharing it.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Completely agree. And so let's kind of talk about repeat referral because this is something that you've been able to tap into, which is referrals from other agents by being recognized as a woman for this niche, but also repeat clients because you know how to nurture your sphere. And these, this is where the game is won. When we look at business from like the most simple sense,
Mhm.
the game is won when you increase the lifetime value of a client. The most expensive client to get is a new client because you have to pay with either time, money, energy, or attention to get them and then service them. And most people are always going one by one by one by one, spending so much exhaustive resources to
Mhm.
always get new clients. Whereas if you can increase the lifetime of a value of a client by getting repeat, which is going to double or triple the lifetime value, or referral, same outcome, that's how any successful agent I've ever met always ends up getting to the point where they pretty much like live off their sphere, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, so let's talk about that. And first, maybe we could talk about referral before getting to repeat. And maybe you want to talk about how that's kind of impacted your business in being able to say, like, I'm again the woman for this niche, and how that's been able to accelerate the number of referrals that you get from other agents.
Mhm. Yeah, starting with the referrals, like just from other agents. As soon as I started doing more land and ranch, I had somebody from an agent from Colorado send me a lead for 1.6. It wasn't really even a lead. It was like they're ready to go, just run them a property. So 1.6. Then I think like 2 weeks later, another agent called me from Colorado and she was like, "Hey, this person's looking for this. By the way, the purchase price is up to 30 million. So like have fun." And it's like, whoa, okay. Like just 30 million. Okay. And then again, someone else from another state, they're like, "Hey, I have someone relocating and they just want to find some land to build a house on." Like those referrals are it have I don't think in general any business that I've done on my social media has brought me that high level of business before as they're
Mhm.
coming from other agents. Or just here in my area, I just got a call. I think I got 3 calls last week from agents in my area that either want me just to go ahead and list it or co-list it. And again, $1 million, million
Yeah.
dollar pitches. And it's like, okay, because people don't want to. Some people don't want to learn it. Some do, some don't.
Yeah.
They just would rather refer it out so that person's taken care of.
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of going into my sphere, take care of one person, they send you to the next. So with my clients that bought their 20-acre property, that was like 2.6 million. That got me a lot of recognition because it was like, oh, she can work at that price point. And oh, by the way, she can do 20 acres. So then it was like, okay, 36 acres. Okay, and then another 35 acres co-listed with someone over $1 million. And then once I closed the 20 acres, let's buy the primary home on a few acres. Oh, by the way, I want to go ahead and buy a few other acres next to my primary. And then I'm going to send you to my sister. She wants a few acres. And then I'm going to send you to my brother and sister in law, and their purchase price is up to 1.5. And now all of her people see that I'm the person that they use. So now it's latching on to them. It latches on.
That's
And
so cool. Yeah, and I think there's a couple important concepts there. Um, the first being that a niche is a journey. And I think so many people again think it's like I identify a niche and tomorrow that's all I do all day, every day. People are going to recognize me. But I had a very similar experience when it came to getting into luxury in my city is, you get that first luxury listing.
Mhm.
But then what do you do from there? And so many people think just by default, you get that luxury listing and somehow the whole city is going to drive by your sign, see that you listed it, and they're all going to start calling you. Like you have to leverage it. And I think that's something that you've done well with social media, saying, I've got this. I'm going to shout it from a mountaintop and make sure everyone knows I got this. And then
Yep.
when I get the job done, I'm going to talk about that. And when I get another one, I'll talk about that. And it starts to compound. But that's something that you need to take ownership of, is saying, like, I need to leverage this. I need to spread the word so that people can start to give me credit in this space. And that happened with my first 1.2. And then as you went up, I got 15 million. Um, but it's a process, and that's something that, again, it's such a powerful journey to go on. But I really like the fact that you talked about it, being able to kind of test the waters with certain price points and then be able to leverage that to scale, and that it's constantly something that, again, I think people have such a respect for you when they see that you over deliver in one area, but also talking about the co-listing. Like, I've had that same experience where if you start to become a master at something, and oftentimes with niches, there's a lot of layers to that. Um, and there's a lot that people, like you said, don't want to learn. And when you can become the person for that, you can get, again, co-listing 50% of the commission, just because you're a trusted, valuable resource. So when it comes to staying in touch with your clients, this is something that many people struggle with. So what are you doing to kind of establish those relationships and then continue to stay in touch with them, so that it's not, that historical, you look at the data, it's something like 82% of people say they would work with their agent again, but something like only 17% actually do, or something like that. Like, it's
Right.
crazy numbers. So what are you doing to kind of keep them in the family and continue to nurture them?
Yeah. I would say a lot of my clients, like, there's something that they can speak about that I fought for them in the transaction that they remember. So, like,
Yeah.
that's number one. Like, I always try to find a way to stick out, like, whether it's, I negotiated another $5,000 and they didn't know until we closed. Like, I tell them after that instead. And then they're like, huh, okay. Um, I do a lot of seed planting, is what I call it. Like, I will go through my phone book, like through my CRM essentially, and just be like, "Hey, I've been thinking of you." Like, some people that I haven't been working with, or people that I know will be future leads. Like, "Hey, I've just been thinking about you. What's going on? Anything I can help with?" Kind of thing. My people, like, when they, a year ago, when they closed on their property, like, I send them touching gifts, like, "Hey, congratulations on your closing." Um, I share it on my social media too, like, "Hey, they've been in their property for a year now. Congratulations." Or, "Oh, they're getting married," or, "Oh, they're having a kid." Like, I share all of those things and they love it. Um, yeah, I mean, just a lot of, like, touching and reaching out. A lot of things that I do, like on Facebook, I interact with their posts, Instagram, their posts, and they remember me there. And there's been a few people that I've been kind of trying to nurture, because I'm like, I feel like there are some things that we've talked about in the past, like, they're now at that time in their life where they're going to probably start growing their family, they're going to need a new house. So I'm not talking about real estate, I'm just being genuine with them. And then
Yeah.
at some point I reach out and I'm like, "Hey," I was like, "Do you know anyone that wants to buy or sell in the future? Like, I'd be happy to help them." And they're like, "Hey, by the way, I am," or, "No, I have
Yeah.
somebody." And that's the other thing too. I had to learn how to ask for the business in a genuine way. Not that I
Yeah.
didn't before, but it was hard to ask before because I didn't want to come off as this sleazy sales agent. I wanted it to happen naturally. But it's like, I've been nurturing, I've been reaching out, you've seen my value, this and that. Now I'm asking. And it's not sleazy.
Yeah, well, it goes back to that, Gary Vee's concept of jab, 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 right hook. It's like, if you give enough, you've earned the right to go for an ask. And I think what you said is really important. Anybody that I've seen masters their sphere, they just actually care. Like, so many agents that I find that are trying to, like, crack the code of repeat and referral by leveraging their sphere, is they're always looking for, like, what's that shortcut? What's that, like, perfect drip campaign that I could just set them up? It's going to drip them, it's going to crush it, and it'll convert. Like, I genuinely, and I've worked with over 7,000 agents, I don't know one agent that has mastered sphere that's done it through an automated drip campaign. Like, it's the people that are going on Facebook, looking at the life events. Oh, it's a birthday. Let me message them. Oh, they just got a dog. Let me give them a call. Oh, this happened. They're always looking at what are these like little elements that could just stay connected in a genuine, authentic way, not overcomplicated. It doesn't take a lot of time, but to actually care and pour into them. But like you say, eventually ask for it. Like, if you've given enough to people, if you don't call an action, no action gets taken. And sometimes, like, I've worked with people that went and referred a different agent or worked with a different agent just because, like, I kept in touch, but I never asked for anything. And they were like, oh, like, I didn't even think to send them to you. Like, and that happens constantly.
I think I've also kind of relating to that. I've heard a lot of agents say like, yeah, my friend bought a house the other day and like she didn't use me. And then when I like told her that I was an agent, she was just like, oh, I didn't think you were very active. And it's like, you're not being loud and
Yeah.
proud of what you do. You're not posting. You're not, and when you do, you're not being consistent. So why would
Mhm.
somebody who is, at one of the biggest parts in their life, a big like one of the biggest transactions in their lives, going to bet on someone who doesn't really seem to care?
Yeah.
You're not
100%.
sharing. Like it kind of in my eyes, I feel like you don't care as much. That you're not loud and proud about it, and you have to be. And again, you can do it in a genuine way. Like you can share your wins at times, right? Like if you're sharing your wins every day, this and that, some people might be like, whatever, But like if you're posting other stuff, like it's okay, throw a win in there.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
how people know that you're doing stuff. Like when I'm like, oh, I just got, a $2.6 million, buyer client. Other agents resonated with that and they're like, how? Or once I closed that 2.6, I then had someone in my sphere who actually she has five other agents that are her best, like around like almost her best friends. And she chose me, and her husband's purchase price were up to 4 million. And they were just like, I just see you all the time. You seem to know what you're doing. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And again, being loud and proud.
And I think that often ties back to what you said earlier on, which is being active on your stories. When I was in production, I found that was one of the most critical things. I was very similar to you, is there wasn't a single day that I didn't go without something being on my stories, documenting anything. If I'm meeting a client, I'm doing a showing, I'm prepping a listing, I'm writing an offer, I'm going to do something that I'm interested in, passion, hobby. Like, it was everything, because oftentimes your clients are following you. And one of the easiest ways to stay top of mind, and the more active you are on the stories, the more Instagram pushes you to the front of the stories, the more they're just going to see you every single day. Like, it's impossible to forget about you if
Yeah.
you're there every day, and every time they open the app, they see you there. And that's one of the things that I found was incredible as well. So, looking at somebody getting started today and saying, okay, I've been, struggling a little bit.
Mhm.
Maybe I'm in a market like yours, right? Where Austin is taking a little bit of a hit and people are kind of down and out, which I think the secret combat to that is niching down.
Mhm.
Um, but if somebody was to identify a niche today, like, what's kind of your best advice to say, here's what I think you should do over the next 30 days?
Yeah. Um, well, one, I would say join the Wolfpack because we have the secret sauce going on in our community. But, trying to really find what you can kind of resonate with. Like sometimes you just don't know until it's trial and error, right?
Hmm.
Different niches and stuff. But really find something that gets you excited, that you want to learn more about yourself, that keeps you kind of guessing and wanting to learn, and share those things and start using AI to be like, okay, I'm wanting to start residential real estate in Georgetown, Texas. This is my average, this is the client that I want. I want people who are growing their family, and start typing in questions, asking ChatGPT, like, what are the first things that they need to kind of get started for their search? Daycares in the area, whatever, like share those things. Or like, hey, these are the top 5 daycares in this area. Like share things like that, because that's going to be something that your target audience is going to want. If they're growing their family, they're going to need daycares in the future. And ideally, they're probably going to be there for like 5 to 7 years. If it's, the average, they need to know those things. Be loud and proud about what you're doing and share it and be consistent. Don't post one time a week and then don't post 5 times 1 week and then go blank for 2 weeks and then post 5 times again. It's got to be consistent. And another thing too is that when I first got into real estate, I was posting real estate constantly. Nothing about
Hmm.
myself or my life or anything that I liked. And I have had so much more engagement when I started posting things that I do in my personal life. Going to the gym. I am a plant enthusiast. I'm always buying plants, so people know she's probably buying a plant this week. I'm out walking my dog at the park. Like they know what I'm doing. Anything green, like that's my brand. That's my color. Is green. That's my branding. Everyone knows. I just bought a car that's green. And people are like, I had a text literally 2 days ago, and she was like, I think I just saw you. And I'm like, oh yeah? And she's like, yeah, your green SUV sticks out. Because I posted it on my social media. So she watches me, so now she sees me around town.
Hmm.
And so people are relating green with me. Or oh my gosh, she bought another plant. Or oh her dog, her golden retriever is so cute. She's always walking her. Whatever. People associate and they react and engage more with those things. And I think that that's what gets you more recognized than every other agent posting a house.
Completely agree. Yeah, 100%. And that's such an important note to for people to pick up on is that personal side of things and genuinely branding yourself. Like when people get to know the real, authentic, genuine you, like that's what's going to future proof your business and make sure that you don't, fall into the abyss and become invisible or get replaced by artificial intelligence. Is when people have that emotional, authentic, genuine connection with you because they actually know who you are, what you stand for, what you're interested in, and
Yeah.
that's, your vibe attracts your tribe. It's going to attract more people that are interested in that as well. And so you mentioned something, at the beginning there that I think is important to kind of pull this together, which is, the Wolfpack. And you and I are partners. There's going to be a lot of people listening to this that are going to have a pretty solid interest in land and ranch.
Yeah.
So let's kind of, pull it together by talking about why did you join EXP and specifically the Wolfpack? What's it been like, and what could people expect when partnering with you?
Yeah. Well, I was really with my other brokerage, and I just felt lost after I felt like I mastered the investment space. And I'm like, what's next? I know there's something more. I'm missing it, and I don't know what it is yet. And I had to take some time to reflect and think. And at that time, I was talking to John and Jordan, and they were wanting me to come over. And I was just like, I don't want to come over yet until I have a clear mind of what I know I'm missing. Like, I wanted to identify that. Because again, I feel like shiny, objects, it's like a shiny object thing. People can move wherever they want, or it's like, certain brokerages offering a car wash every month or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
that's a shiny object to me, not something that I've, established in my business of where I need to go next. And where I was before, I didn't believe in the business model there either, unfortunately. Bringing new agents over was hard because I felt like there you had to be somebody who was going to double down and keep putting your foot forward and
Mm.
not back up when times got hard. And I saw that a lot with agents. Like, not everyone is built the same to work that way. And so it was only for, I would say, 1% of the people could go there and actually do what they did and do well in it. And so, again, just not believing in the model. So, coming to EXP, I believe in our model and how I can grow in the future and how I can take care of my family and how I can grow my business for sure, 100%. And I genuinely feel sad when there's agents that I've talked to that choose another brokerage at times because I know they're going to regret it.
Hmm.
Most of them, I know they're going to regret it. I've seen it firsthand. They go somewhere and it wasn't what they expected. It wasn't, it was a shiny object, but like our shiny object of what we have with the Social Agent Academy, it actually works. Like it's there and it's a proven strategy, not just something that's said and people aren't doing, right? Like people are doing it and they're having massive results and changing their life. Someone in the Wolfpack the other day, they were like, I can't remember what she said exactly, but she's her business being with the Wolfpack and everything is that it's offered her and her family, she's able to put her kids through college and not have to worry about
Hmm.
it for years. That's amazing. And I have goals of wanting to retire my parents. And honestly, my husband too, because I like to work more than he does. I'm like, I'll retire my husband, whatever. um, so yeah, just lost, and I needed something. And John and Jordan, they were people that I really looked up to, and I saw their business change from one place to another, and I knew that they were people that implemented and executed, and so was I. So I had that conversation with them, and since joining, it's just been amazing ever since. The value pack that we have is just amazing. And like we talk about all the time, you can join certain communities and then they make you pay extra for all these other things. And we don't have to do that. Like we're partnered with one another. And the other thing is collaboration. The
Hmm.
collaboration that we've had, even if you're not in someone's specific downline at the Wolfpack, the amount of people that I have texted, like in our group chat, in the Wolfpack, in the Austin area, I'm like, hey, this is going on. How do I do this? Have you been through it before? Other people that I'm not even benefiting their downline or call, like, I'll get 3 calls at once and they're trying to help. The
Yeah,
collaboration is literally unreal on how much they want others to succeed and latch on and care about one another. And that was also a really big game changer and eye opener for me to see. And I speak to
100%.
people about that all the time.
Yeah, it's truly like a family, and I think that's something we've done that many others struggle to do, at cloud-based brokerages. Is I see oftentimes a cloud-based is like you've got, maybe if you're in Austin, like your tight-knit Austin crew, but like everybody else is like in the outer circle, nobody knows anybody, and it's there's mass disconnect if you're not in like the immediate market of somebody. But we've done an incredible job of being able to, build this global, experience of upwards of 3,000 agents that are all best friends, that are all connecting with each other, helping each other out. Like you say, the amount of referrals that are getting sent within the group every week is ridiculous. And so, last thing, Timberly, which is, for the people that want your support or would like to know more about Land and Ranch, what does that look like? How do you help them? And what can they expect?
Yeah, I'm happy to help anyone who's wanting to get into real estate in general, but I mean, land and ranch for sure. Like it is, we need agents that care about land and ranch space. And I'm one of those people, and we have a great community of all the other land and ranch agents at EXP that have just been amazing. And again, their willingness to help too has been amazing. And so I'm going to help anyone that I can moving forward. Obviously, they still have to execute, but we're going to give them all the secret sauces they need to basically pull a trigger to move forward and be there for support, you know, be there for essentially the beginnings of the trial and error, and then to
Yeah.
see you excel. There's always trial and error before, but then you can excel.
Yeah.
And the way that they can reach out to me is booking a call with me on my website, soldbytimberly.com. And there's a link that you can go there and schedule a call with me. You can follow me on social media, YouTube and TikTok and Instagram is Texas Timberly Real Estate, TX Timberly. And you will see more on my YouTube because I'm starting that next week. I'm very
I
excited.
love it. I can't wait for that. And I'm going to make it even easier for them because I'm going to link it in the pinned comment and the description, all of the links. So, guys, thank you for watching. Again, thank you, Timberly, for sharing, what's worked so well for you. I think there's so many golden nuggets in this conversation that if people apply it, it could radically change their business. And again, looking at the stats of 74% of agents not closing a deal in the first 3 quarters of 2025, and going forward, you don't need to be stuck, right? Surround yourself with the right people, leverage proven processes, and partner with people like Timberly that genuinely want to help, will share their entire roadmap and help get you to that next level. So, guys, click that link in the description, book your call. Again, if it's a great fit, awesome. If it's not, at least we'll find that out. But have the conversation, because the most expensive thing to own is a closed mind. So, thank you again, Timberly.
Yeah, thank you for having me.